Hi everyone, this is Jared, AC7WH Backyard Ham Radio, and I wanted to show you what the antenna analyzer, my Rig Expert AA35 Zoom, shows me for that antenna that I featured in my last video. So that's the one that's out there, just the antenna tuned for 29 megahertz. With a couple of radials or counterpoise wires also tuned for 29 megahertz. And I had shown you the two RF chokes right here and how I had everything just kind of quickly set up. I do not have a permanent setup here for my shack. I just set it up each day whenever I'm going to be using it. So let's go ahead and see how this does. This will be my first time seeing it, so I'm curious. All right, here we go. And let's go ahead and start her up. All right, minimum SWR is a 1.25 to 1 at 28.060. So that is a little bit lower than what I would have guessed, but I'm not too terribly surprised because I did try to cut the antenna just slightly longer than it needed to be. So the nice thing is my tuner can make some adjustments from there. So if I go over to the 10 meter band and I use the zoom function, I need to remember zoom in is the down arrow, zoom out is the up arrow. I'm still getting used to that. I can kind of center this over in the screen. In fact, I can actually go here to the frequency button and I can enter in 29 and then go from there. So that way the middle spot is at 29 megahertz or 29,000 kilohertz, and plus or minus 2,500 kilohertz is what this is going to be displaying. So now I can get more of a fine-tuned idea of how this would be. Let's find out. Okay, so it's showing me that in the middle of the band, it's a 1.63 to 1, so not bad at all. Basically wouldn't need the tuner at that point, although that's a little bit higher than I would like. But the tuner will not have to work very hard, so that's pretty good. So it is interesting that it came out quite a bit lower than I was estimating, but at the same time, there is so much with that wire mesh behind the chair there, and then that kind of ceiling fan, you can see it a little bit there up toward the top left in the deck. And then the wiring that is in the posts, like I have discussed previously, all of that, it's going to have an effect. So with that, I'm glad I didn't trim the wire too short. I was a little worried that I had, but actually it's a little longer than it needs to be. But not a problem for that antenna tuner. All right, well, I am actually quite excited to see that. I am going to go ahead and try one other thing with this. I'm going to check out the resonance point. So let's zoom out first. And let's kind of scroll over so I can get an idea of all the ham bands, basically. And now, let's get out of that screen. Let's look for our resonance here, and we'll run this sweep. Okay, resonance, it says, is at 16,705. So again, resonance is very different than SWR. There's another resonance point at 26,309. So that would be the closest one. And for those who are not aware, the resonance point is basically where the capacitance and inductance for the reactance side of things equals itself out. And another resonance point at 5538 kilohertz. So just something to be aware of with how resonance and SWR works. So again, let's get out of here. Let's take a look at my SWR chart. And that's pretty cool to see that dip right down in there. Alrighty everyone, this is Jared, AC7WH, Backyard Ham Radio 73.